Okay guys, so today I wanted to try to explain you how a project is structured in a visual effects pipeline. This is something that I've always curious about when I started in visual effects and I didn't have any experience, so I hope this will be helpful for you as well. Visual effects projects and animated features today are huge. There is an incredible amount of things that need to be done, an incredible amount of objects that need to be modeled, of animation that needs to be done, of rendering, lighting. Probably some of the most difficult projects to manage, because there is so many tiny tasks that can impact basically the overall picture, the overall production. So I'll try to give you an overview of how things are structured so that you can pick ideas from these, and maybe if you have to manage small projects for your freelancing job, you can try to do similar things in a smaller way. So once the script is basically done, is approved, and the visual effects get the script, then the scheduling starts, and the script will give you an idea of what is required to do in each sequence of the movie. The sequence get named, there is usually short names for each sequence, and then each sequence is divided into all the tasks that that sequence requires. And with tasks I mean every single task that each department has to create in order to deliver that shot and the sequence. So once every shot is divided into tasks, then you need to figure out what tasks are for each department. So if there are effects required, if there is animation required, if there is fur and groom required, or if there is texturing required, or how much the lighting is required. So all these things then need to be divided, and each coordinator basically creates their own spreadsheet that is given to the CG supervisor and to the leads, so that they can then basically get the work done. So you have a sequence, then you have each shot for each sequence, then you have all the elements that need to go per each shot, and that's how the scheduling works. That's how the scheduling is created. And each shot is then assigned to a person. Unless the shot is very big, each person works on that, one person works on that specific shot. In some instances, things are so big and so complicated that the shot can be divided as well. For example, if the shot is a huge environment, but there is also hero characters, dragons flying in the middle of the screen in a beautiful landscape, then some of the environment lighting could be done by an artist, and another artist will do the effects, or another artist will do the characters. So each artist doesn't necessarily work on the whole shot, but that's usually the case unless the shot is really big. And so the task division is different in each department as well, because as you understand, a modeler can model different things without having too many troubles, but a lighter can't really light too many different sequences, because this creates creativity issues and problems in focusing on one specific mood. And that is also true for animation. For example, an animator could just animate that specific character in all the shots, or he might be given a full shot, a full animation shot, so he will animate the whole shot. So that depends on the animation supervisor, or how production decide to distribute the task, and the skills of the animator as well. So as you can see, it's complex. It varies. There is no prefixed way of doing things, and everything scales up and down with the size of the project. Obviously, there is a time into which all these things need to fit, and that's your deadline, that's your milestone. So that's when you need to be ready with the work. So let's make a practical example so you can understand better. So let's say that in this sequence of the movie, we are in an environment where basically there is a lot of elements, natural elements, so water, grass and trees, and then the characters basically come off the trees, and they run towards the scene, and then go jump over a cliff, and then that's the end of the sequence, and so that will be another sequence. So let's see. First of all, we need to create all the elements in the environment. And that means that if there is no plate, we have to recreate everything. Or if there is a plate, then we need to figure out which elements need to be created. For example, the trees, the grass, the rocks, the water, the sky, the clouds, the characters themselves, everything that is in the scene. Each element needs to go through the pipeline that I've told you about in the other videos. So each element needs to be modeled, it needs to be textured, it needs to be looked at, and then it needs to go to animation and rigging if required, and then to go through effects, and then to go through final rendering and then composting. So you can imagine, if you think of the complexity of today's movies, like think about Avatar, think about The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. You can imagine what a massive amount of work that is. The schedule boards are usually huge. There is so many elements that needs to be done, and obviously each visual effects facility tries to reuse elements here and there, but even there is copyright issues. So you cannot just pick stuff from other movies as easily, and it's really complicated to make sure that every single element is ready in time for then having the shot ready and then having the sequence ready and then switch to the other sequence.